American life used to be straightforward. You expressed your individuality through choice of music and filtered the rest through external groups like family, church, and coworkers. Your identity might even shift as you moved between the little compartments in which those groups existed. Today, to a greater and greater extent, the lines between groups and the limits of their functions are blurring. Work follows you home through email and cell phones. Friends follow you remotely through texting and Twitter. Social organizations are more dynamic and less carved in stone than ever before. And businesses want to keep up with new models of interaction with their employees and customers. ZipCar, a Cambridge, Massachusetts-based company, is morphing the traditional car-owning experience into an increasingly popular alternative called car sharing, the physical sharing of an actual automobile between hundreds of different club members on an as-needed basis.
The basic idea of a ZipCar transaction is really 4 simple steps. Joining is easy. It takes a few minutes online with a credit card and a driver's license number. Reserving is very simple, just scrolling over the time that you'd like to use a vehicle. Unlocking the car is as simple as swiping your Zip card over the card reader in the windshield, and then you drive it as if it's your own vehicle, whether it's been reserved for an hour or a couple of days. And that's your car to be returned then to the same home location parking that you pick it up from.
The result is a transaction that's as easy as downloading a video, very different from renting a car, where you must be approved for each transaction and visit a brick-and-mortar agency near an airport or something to pick it up. ZipCars are located all over major cities in garages, reserved parking spaces on streets, apartment buildings, and transit stations. The keys to the unattended vehicles are already inside, waiting. It's a more organic and economical experience than either owning or renting a car. Less airline ticket reservation and more impromptu cab ride. Club members who live in environments like populous cities or restriction-heavy university campuses can dynamically share cars, relieving them of the burdens of ownership. For as little as $7 an hour, they get gas, insurance, 180 free miles, and 24/7 assistance. Of course, this much service makes it harder on ZipCar, and they have to be responsive to dynamic customer needs and spikes in demand.
We can use temporary staff to pick up peak season requirements or overtime. And we can also sometimes use contract vendors and suppliers for different things where maybe a certain part of the business is best handled by a subject matter expert or specifically trained type of organization that does that specialty work all the time.
ZipCar's structure is flexible enough to allow great ideas to flow in from anywhere, from customers to partners, and to empower frontline customer service staff to solve problems like late returns and cars breaking down.
I think of one example where a member got stuck in a hunger walk parade where traffic was just snarled and got on the phone with the agent who got maps up, picked up parade routes, and literally online held their hand to their destination to get through what was a very frustrating traffic situation. Gave them the extra extension on the reservation given the hassle and some driving credit to make sure it was completely seamless to that member. And got them where they were going.
By moving away from highly specialized job duties and very specific limits, ZipCar creates a more adaptive workforce capable of fast action. There's still a chain of command, of course, but with individual areas of control bleeding from one employee and even department into the next, company policy is pulled back to more general principles than specific regulations of behavior.
ZipCar has 5 key core values, and it's part of onboarding every employee. Every quarter when we do an employee webcast, we'll call out people that were nominated for display of one or more of those core values. So when we think of core principles then that support high satisfaction and a leading member experience, we measure certain key things that are really important to us, like response time to members and the percentage of issues that get resolved within 24 hours or that get resolved on social media within 2 to 3 hours. And those are things that we track to make sure that we're delivering that leading experience that we're after.
ZipCar has a great relationship with its car share members, or Zipsters as they're called by the company, but it also has close relationships with stakeholders like the city governments and campuses in which it operates.
Yes, so car sharing can benefit key strategic partners like municipalities, like developers, or universities who think about reducing their carbon footprint, lowering the cost of investment in building parking structures and allocating those resources into other better investments. And so we'll engage in a longer-term partnership agreement that helps us provide that win-win for the partner and prime visible parking over a long-term period for ZipCar.
ZipCar has overcome barriers like culture, language, and laws to acquire or develop partnerships with companies in coveted overseas markets. But while they now share the same brand, those groups get a lot of leeway in operating in those markets that they're much more familiar with.
So historically, when ZipCar has made investments or strategic partnerships, we look at a high level, whether it's a full acquisition or maybe a minority investment. In an acquisition, we think about integration. We think about combining the brands, the combined footprint of vehicles, and standard operating processes that can be made consistent to have smooth, continuous operation between those various locations. On a minority partnership, we think more about representation. What can we learn about that new market through their own existing processes and procedures, and maybe trial some of those things back with the larger organization.
ZipCar is trying to change the way people look at their relationship with transportation, taking the established idea of car sharing and reimagining it as a unique business opportunity and community service. As markets get more comfortable with the idea of going car-free and grow to depend on a ready resource like ZipCar for their transportation needs, the company itself will change and grow. The company has evolved steadily from the startup ZipCar once was and will continue to do so in the coming years. But one trait that likely won't change is ZipCar's flexibility and structure.
The exciting thing about ZipCar is that it's such a data-driven business. So planning is important to really look at historical trends and see where you want to be. We've been successful in the past to really have a close eye on those trends and to see changes and identify, are those external or are those ZipCar-caused changes, so that we can be flexible and nimble enough to apply actions to address them and respond to that dynamic marketplace.